I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello Horror Hounds, welcome to my horror house. Recently over at her haunted library, Regina did a video with recommendations of horror short story anthologies in the run-up to Halloween, including shamelessly Local Haunts, which she edited, which is the world's first horror tube horror anthology. 19 tales, original tales from our YouTube horror community, including one from me. I'll link to her video in the description field below. It really prompted me to dig out my collection of pan book of horror stories. Discussing it online with Regina seemed to indicate to me that this is a particularly British phenomena. 30 volumes in all, published between 1959 and 1989. I got 20 of the 30, but I can absolutely say that growing up as a horror fan in the 80s, these were all over the place. You'd find them certainly in car boot sales, certainly in second-hand bookshops. Remember those? God, I miss second-hand bookshops. I miss horror sections that are bigger than just one set of shelves, but never mind. You would always find these wonderful lurid covers, like a siren call to look at that one. To any horror fans, come delve into the horrors in between these covers, like absolute catnip, especially in the 80s for me, when you were of an age where age-wise an awful lot of the movies were blocked for you. You know, you don't have to have an age restriction to open up a book, as I've said quite a few times. It's how I got into the likes of James Herbert, and it's not an original story by any means, but I found these were moving on to a different sort of publication print now. It does, the OCD in me does hate that my collection goes from this style to this style, but I'm just going to have to get over it. Over the years, I've sort of magpied away as and when I found these in charity shops. Not really had to expend too much energy, because there always seems to be at least one pan book of horror in a charity shop somewhere. Over the last few years, that's sort of faded away now, and that sort of magpie hunt has come to an end. So rather sadly, I'm probably going to have to resort to filling out and completing, if possible, my collection on eBay and on Amazon and the like. It's not as nice. Oh, that's an amazing cover. It's not as nice as finding these books in the wild, as I have with these 20 copies. But there you go, needs must. The completist in me would really like all 30 issues. I understand from the internet that issue 30 is actually very rare and quite sought after, because the print run was so low, because by then its popularity was waning. I think it had fell into doing reprints of stories by popular authors such as Stephen King, Ramsey Campbell and the like, whereas for the majority of its run, editor Herbert Van Thal, who edited all but the last 5, I believe, from around about, according to Wikipedia, edition 9, he really put a focus on new authors rather than, oh, here's The Judge's House by Bram Stoker again, which I think is to be lauded and saluted. Certainly what I found, and now I've dug these all out, I really want to read through them all again. Maybe between Halloween and Christmas, New Year this year, I'll work my way through all of these. Certainly what I do remember is that they are of a time. They're a snapshot, a lot of them, of the state of Britain at the time. There's a lot of post-colonialism going on in there. There's a lot of post-colonial attitudes to race and othering and the like, as you can imagine. You only have to look at sort of 70s Amicus movies and the like about how they treat voodoo and the jungle drums and things like that to get a little taste of what it's about. But there are some real gems in here. A couple of years ago, in the run-up to Halloween 2018, Anita Sullivan, I want to say her name is, adapted 5 stories from the second Pan Book of Horror for BBC Radio 4's 15-minute drama series. I can remember listening to those a couple of years ago. And, you know, the fresh new adaptations took me on a wild nostalgia journey back to when I first read the second Pan Book of Horror stories as well. Some of these tales really do stick in your head, and I've got 20 here to dive into, and I really should make the effort. And you know what? I will. Forget New Year's resolutions. I'm making a Halloween resolution. I do solemnly swear to the grey pumpkin in the sky that I'm going to work my way through these Pan Books of Horror. Just the memories. Absolutely wonderful. Did you read the Pan Books of Horror? Were they as ubiquitous in your early life as they are with mine, or do you come from somewhere outside the British Isles and never really had the distinct pleasure of finding a Pan Book of Horror snugly sat amongst all the other second-hand books in a charity shop or a car boot sale?